Hi guys, so I'm not feeling super great tonight. My voice feels a bit off, but I'm gonna try and do a video anyway. I just showered, so all of my makeup's off, but oh well. The video I wanted to do today is on the cost of transitioning. I'm gonna talk a lot about a lot of the monetary expenses as well as some of the other costs. So let's start with the obvious ones. You're gonna have to pay for therapy. That, depending on how good your insurance is, that can be anywhere from $10 a month, and it also depends on how often you go, but $10 a month to $40 a month. Or if you don't have any insurance at all, then it suddenly becomes an even bigger issue. Um, and Well, that's not a necessity per se. It's definitely recommended, especially because you have to. A lot of people are going to require a therapist note to get on hormones or to do SRS or a whole bunch of other things. Insurance companies will most likely require it if you want them to cover hormones or anything. But yeah. Um, Next up, speaking of which, is hormones. Those are very expensive because estrogen and blockers, both medications, and depressingly, medication is not cheap. Now, ideally, your insurance will at least help cover that, and then you'll only have a copay. But if not, it can equal around, I've heard 150 to 200 a month. Like I said, I haven't started yet. I'm starting on Friday, and frankly, I'm really excited about that. But yeah, so that's a big expense. Another one is laser hair removal, or electrolysis, or some form. Electrolysis is cheaper, if I remember correctly, but I've heard worse results. And laser hair removal tends to be averaging around 750. It differs per person, but it winds up being extremely expensive. Next up would be makeup, which I'm actually going to stop for a moment. I just want to say that I'm not trying to do this to deter anyone from transitioning. I'm just trying to give you guys the idea to start saving up money if you are going to. Get a job if you can. Well, obviously, you're going to have to. I'll post some videos on ways to make money later, simply because I've found a few little ways you can do it. But definitely get a job. That's obviously the easiest way, and that's self-explanatory. There are good places that don't discriminate. I've heard Walmart is really good about that. I work in a place, or I live in a place where it's mostly run by small businesses, so I can't really give any good recommendations. But I've heard Walmart's really good, surprisingly. But anyway, next up would be makeup. Makeup totals to be really expensive. I obviously can't put an exact price on that, but I will say I did an order, and granted, I haven't bought makeup since then, and that was like 2 or 3 months ago, but it came out to like $200, and there was still other stuff I wanted and I didn't get. But point is, makeup can be extremely expensive, especially depending on how much you want to use it for. Um, and yeah, makeup's one of my favorite things to do. So that winds up being a rather large expense for me, but I'm averaging it around 200 per order anyway. Um, Next up would be clothes. Obviously, you're going to need new clothes. If you choose to go full time before you start on hormones, like I did, you're probably going to need to get new clothes twice because hormones change your body type a lot and things aren't going to fit as well anymore. Um, it was a dumb move on my part, don't ask me. But next up on the list would be basic living expenses, obviously. assuming you're living in an apartment, it'll be around 500 a month. I found that being fairly modest. But so putting that in, money being or food being about $80 a week, and then let's just leave it at 600 because of utilities and such. Obviously, that's extremely modest, but people probably don't spend $80 on food a week either. Um, so, putting that aside, next up would be surgeries. Um, there's a lot of different options you can get. I'm hoping to get vocal surgery, and that will be very expensive. It's going to be around 10,000 for the whole trip. I'm hoping to go Yes and Voice Center. This my voice is where I have my most dysphoria, but that will ideally be happening next summer, but we'll just wait and see on that. Um, then there's top and bottom surgery. Both of those are very expensive. Most insurances don't cover it, from what I've heard. I know my friend wound up paying 32,000 for it. That was bottom, but yeah. And obviously, surgery is entirely optional. You don't have to. A lot of people don't. I'm choosing to because, as I said, my voice is my biggest point of dysphoria. Um, but yeah. The next list is possible expenses. They're not 100% guaranteed, like, oh, you're gonna have to do these, but it's just stuff. One of them is a voice coach. I do not have one. Sadly, there's not one in the nearby area. And you can go to YouTube for it. I haven't had the best success, and I haven't had the best success with the internet in general. Um, or maybe I do, and I just haven't finished practicing enough because I've only been working out for like 4 months. And I've heard you need like 6 months to a year. So maybe it's just that. But point is, I know a lot of people get vocal coaches, and that can be relatively expensive. Now, ideally, again, your insurance will cover that, but it probably won't. Um, Next up would be if you want to get your ears pierced. Can't really see that. But I got mine done fairly cheaply, and with the earrings, it wound up being about $35. Not a huge expense, but still an expense. I'm trying to think. That's most of the monetary costs I can think of. That's the ones I came up with while I was getting the video ready. But yeah, I don't mean to demoralize anyone, and I apologize if I did. I know the first time I was thinking about coming out, the cost really kind of scared me and pushed me away. But I will say that the sooner you come out, the better. And, well, I'm not going to say that because everyone's situation is different. But in my case, it probably would have been better to have come out sooner. And do not be deterred by the costs. It's really the least of your issues. You'll find a way to make it work. I have faith in you. And really, it is totally worth it. And that's most of what I have to say on the costs. Be careful on that, and if you are going to transition, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you in the next video.